Buckeye Nation, what's poppin'? Crazy Dog coming at you once again on the Buckin' Crazy YouTube channel with my Ohio State Buckeyes Akron Zips Week 1 game recap as the Buckeyes went out there and they took care of business today against the Akron Zips, winning by a final score of 52-6. Now, of course, at halftime, it was 17-3 Ohio State. Looked like things kind of were a little sloppy to start, as you'd expect from a team with a new quarterback trying to break in a new system and a lot of new faces on both sides of the ball. Right? But second half came around and this team turned up. Yeah, they were getting after it big time. Now, one of the new faces on the Buckeyes, of course, was quarterback Will Howard. I was curious to see how he'd look in his first game in the shoe, and he looked great. 17 of 28, 228 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Beautiful stat line. And of course, 2 of those touchdowns went to Jeremiah Smith, who is him. Yeah. The rumors are true. He is him. He's going to be so much fun to watch during his 3 years at Ohio State, because let's be honest here, he's leaving after his junior year if this keeps up. I mean, let's be serious here, guys. Right? He is a generational player. For real. And the best part is, you can't guard him. There's not a damn thing the defense can do to stop him. The only way you can stop him is to essentially make sure the ball doesn't go his way. Which, with the way he's playing, if I'm Will Howard, I'm always looking his way. He's unguardable. I mean, damn. Now, of course, he had a little rough start. You know, he dropped a pass, and then I believe there was a penalty called on him because he wasn't set. But after that, he locked in, and he was fine the rest of the game. Now, we did see Devin Brown at the end. He only threw 3 passes. He went 1 for 3 for 6 yards. Whoop-de-doo. Now, on the ground, we got to see the wickedly amazing duo of Travion Henderson and Quinshawn Judkins in action. Travion Henderson, 8 carries, 65 yards, no touchdowns, averaged 8.1 yards per carry. And then Quinshawn Judkins had 13 carries, 55 yards, and a touchdown. And I'll tell you what, those two guys are going to work so well together, because this offense will be able to bludgeon you in the head repeatedly with no end in sight. If one gets tired, the other one can come in and just continue the bludgeoning. And then if for some reason they both get tired, well, here comes James Peoples, who had 6 carries, 30 yards, and a touchdown at the end. Will Howard himself had 4 carries for 18 yards, and we even saw some Sam Williams-Dixon for 1 carry, 4 yards. Okay. Now, through the air, like I said, Jeremiah Smith is him. 6 receptions, 92 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Carnell Tate had his first touchdown of the season. 4 receptions, 58 yards, and a touchdown. And Emeka Egbuka had 4 receptions, 51 yards. He should have had a touchdown, but they said he didn't have possession of the ball, which I didn't even think they were looking at him having possession. I thought they were looking at to see if he was in bounds, because his hand was literally in the end zone with his legs in the air. And they said he didn't have possession. Like, okay. Travion Henderson, 2 receptions, 18 yards. Bryson Rogers, the one who committed here, left in the transfer portal, but then came back. He had a catch for 9 yards. And then Jaden Ballard had 1 for 6 from Devin Brown. And then Lathan Ransom had a fumble recovery for a touchdown. Beautiful. And then speaking of the defense, 5 sacks. We got 5 on it. Tyreek Williams had a sack. CJ Hicks, sack. JT Tuimoloau, 1.5 sacks. Kenyatta Jackson, half a sack. Mitchell Melton, half a sack. Caleb Downs, first game in the shoe, half a sack. Love to see it. And of course, we had two interceptions. Gabe Powers had a pick six, the funniest pick six I've ever seen, because the quarterback threw it to the side. I was talking about in this stream how dangerous that kind of pass was because we had several pass rushers come this close to batting it down. This one went off of Edric Houston's helmet, went in the air, and Gabe Powers went up, picked it off, took it to the house. And then Denzel Burke literally took the ball out of a receiver's hands for a pick. And then other than that, I mean, not really much else to talk about. Brennan Ennis actually looked good returning punts. Man, it feels good actually having punt returns instead of just instant fair catches every time. So nice to see, right? And then, yeah, Joe McGuire had 3 punts. Whoop-de-doo. Jaden Fielding, 7 extra points and a field goal. Good stuff. Yeah. Really much else to say there. How did Akron do? Not great. Ben Finley, let's just say he's going to be feeling that tomorrow for sure. Yeah. He was getting wrecked out there. My God. He went 8 for 14 for 53 yards and threw a pick. Taj Bullock came in. He was all right. 9 for 13, 68 yards, whatever. They totaled 35 carries for minus 14 yards on the ground. Even though Taj had 14 carries, 42 yards. I don't understand how that whole thing. So, they totaled 35 carries for 47 yards, mostly from Taj Bullock. I don't know what that team part there stands for, but okay. Receiving wise, 18 receptions, 130 yards. They were getting some stuff through the air because they just could not get anything on the ground against us. And then defensively, 0 sacks. Now, the offensive line, the one gripe I had was that they were pretty weak in run blocking. But my God, they were fantastic in pass protection. Will Howard had all the time in the world. No, I mean, of course, it's Akron, they're not really known to have good pass rushers, but still, right? Like, Will Howard, his jersey was squeaky clean by the time the game was over. I don't even think they really had to wash it much. I doubt he broke a sweat. He was running around a little bit, so I mean, maybe he did break a little bit of a sweat, but man, he was looking like he was having the time of his life on the sidelines at the end of that game. Like he was enjoying everything. He's probably thinking, man, this is the most loaded team I've ever been a part of. I ain't never have weapons like this. I mean, he's had some good weapons at Kansas State, especially Deuce Vaughn, but he's had nothing like this. My God. And the best part is, this team is insanely deep, which is important because we have a longer season this year with the expanded playoffs. But yeah, loved what I saw out of Ohio State. They took care of business like they were supposed to. They didn't fool around and, let Akron stay in the game. I mean, it was to the point where it seemed like Akron was just trying to get the game over with, which is seemingly how it always is when we face these bad teams, right? These like lower tier teams. They always just end up running the ball, just trying to eat clock. That's how they do it now with the new clock rules. Otherwise, we'd be blowing them out like 70 to nothing again. Now, getting into my post-game observations. Number 1, Will Howard clears Kyle McCord by a country mile and then some. It's crazy that when Will Howard came to Ohio State originally, when he first announced that he was transferring here, people swore up and down that he was not an upgrade. I wonder what those people are thinking now, right? Because we actually have a quarterback now who's willing to run. He doesn't stand in the pocket like a damn statue. I'm not saying he has to be RG3, but if he has to, he can skedaddle and get a few yards, right? Love to see that. I mean, he had, 9 rushing touchdowns last year. Like, he can definitely run. And I love that. That adds a new threat to our offense, right? Especially if they want to utilize the RPO, right? Because imagine trying to defend our running backs knowing that our quarterback can run too. You don't know where the ball is going. Number 2, Jeremiah Smith is him. We've known this ever since he committed. I was watching highlights of this dude in high school sunning little kids, man. Nobody could guard him in high school. It looks like so far nobody can guard him in college. Now, again, this isn't the best competition. I want to see what he does against the big guys, especially Oregon. If he's doing that, what we saw today against Oregon, oh yeah, he is really him. Good luck keeping him out of the end zone, that's for sure. And then number 3, this defense was making plays. Yep, they were getting after it. Yeah, they gave points on the opening drive, but after that, they locked in. That seems to be a thing. They kind of come out a little soft, as they're trying to get going. It's usually when they're most vulnerable because after that first drive, they lock in and it's like a brick wall. They shut you down. And I love it. Now, moving on to my game MVP or MVPs. I named one from offense and defense. On offense, I went with 2. Jeremiah Smith and Will Howard. And on defense, I had to go with Jack Sawyer because that dude was making Ben Finley's life a living hell today. Every time I looked, he was in the backfield. I'm like, wow, our pass rushers are actually trying to get after the quarterback. They're not just trying to set the edge. They're not trying to bench press against the tackle. They're actually trying to shed the block and get in the backfield and make a play. I freaking love that. I love it. I mean, like I said, we had 5 or 6 sacks today. I thought I saw we had 6, but we had 5 according to ESPN. Like, I love that. Right? Freaking love that stuff. Now, my final thoughts. It's Akron. Take it with a grain of salt. Akron, sure, they could be a decent team, but we're like a top tier echelon team. They're like, lower tier, very lower tier. They're the MAC, right? And by the way, we got another MAC team coming to town next week in Western Michigan. And I expect us to do the same thing to them too. So we'll see how that goes. But that's all I got for this one, guys. I'll be live in a little while on this channel for Philip Bell's commitment. It's down to USC and Ohio State. Hopefully he picks Ohio State. And it sounds like Ohio State is the favorite, but we'll see how things go. So I'll see you guys then. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell. And I will see you all later tonight. Go Bucks. I'm Crazy Dog, as always, coming at you in the Buckin' Crazy channel. Go Bucks. OH, I'm out. Bye-bye.